Good thing I remembered that. Woohoo. Okay.
I was gonna ask you.
Sometimes when I am away from this screen and I'm on the other screen, I will not hear if anybody has a question. So please, please, please unmute yourself. Stop me, ask a question, because I think we learn better when we're together. So let me know if I can, or if I'm missing something, because I want to make sure that you guys all get your questions answered as we go through this process. Okay, so here we go. I'm sharing my screen to here. Oh, the entire screen. It's not letting me do that. All right, I will do it this way. Sharing. Hooray, hooray. Now, if I know you guys can see the first thing, if I click slideshow, yay. All right, you're all seeing this. Yes. Oh. I can't hear you, so I'll have to have somebody say something.
Can see it.
Okay, good. VU. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We are now on the topic of capturing leads with open houses. We're going to go over the benefits of open houses, some best practices, and look at the prepare, prospect, and pursue model. For the fall. So I encourage you guys to participate. I encourage you guys to make sure that you are asking lots of questions, because that's how we learn better. All right, today's agenda, we're going to be covering open houses. By the end of the session, you'll be able to describe the benefits of holding an open house, identify the best practices, and be prepared to hold one. So to start thinking about what you will learn today, let's consider what questions we might have and what we'd most like to learn about. So is there anybody who has any insights about that? Anything that you would like to learn more about as we talk about open houses today? No, nothing specific. You guys are all just like, hit me with all the good stuff. Okay. All right, then that's what I will do. Okay, so next slide. Could somebody please read this for us? Or for the group?
Nothing
else about
business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have.
Thank you. Why do you think that we are beginning a session on open houses with this particular quote?
I think it's about the math. The more leads you have, the more potential of a sale.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyone else? How does this quote relate to open houses? Why are we starting it with that?
You can get leads at open houses.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Because your number one job in real estate is to get leads, right? That is the purpose of your job. Your job existing right now is to gain leads. And one way to impact the number of leads that you have is by hosting open houses. And so we hold open houses so that we can do two things. So we can sell the house. And then second, so that we can capture the leads of the people that are in there. So as a new agent, open houses are easy, fun, low-cost ways for finding buyers. Your goal in holding an open house is not only to sell the home, it is to put yourself in the path of opportunity. The business opportunity to meet people, to add to your database, and set appointments, especially with interested buyers. For many agents, holding open houses is their number one strategy to build a strong business, and it can be yours too. When you follow a proven model, buyers and sellers, they come to you. Other visitors may not be actively looking to buy or sell. Nevertheless, a memorable and favorable impression can generate referrals now and business farther down the road, like with me and my open house experience with the clients who were like 2 years later, hey, by the way, we're ready. Okay, so I also have to give this little disclaimer, so let's just hear it. Since we're talking about open houses today, it's important to know this. Before engaging in in-person activities, consult your jurisdiction's rules regarding COVID precautions, contact your local real estate association for best practices, and also make sure that you are not violating anything having to do with the no contact list. Okay, so that's just a little disclaimer. Let's go a little bit further. Okay, so whenever we start these classes, it's important to start with our mindset because mindset is everything. So we're going to check in with our mindset. So when you were talking about the 6 personal perspectives early on in this training, you may have had some limiting beliefs about open houses. So let's talk about them. Does anyone have any limiting beliefs about holding open houses?
I just feel like that I have not had a lot of people come to my open houses lately, and I don't know if it's me or if it's the house or what it is, and that's why I'm here. I want to be able to get more people in the door.
Okay, cool. That's a good limiting belief, right? Like, what is it that's holding you back from having participation in your open houses? Yeah. Anybody else have any other limiting beliefs, things that they're feeling might be holding them back from having success in open houses?
Mine was just I felt like I wasn't good enough and I didn't have the proper training. But when I did my first shadow, after that, I just saw that it was really simple and it was just mainly engaging and kind of just asking questions. So there's really nothing scary about it. Just have to get out there and do it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that you recognize that the limiting belief was that you weren't feeling like you were qualified enough to do it, right? But you are qualified enough because you are able to relate to people. And that's really what it comes down to, right? Being able to listen, ask questions, get to know people.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other limiting beliefs, things that make it difficult for hosting open houses?
I think being in a slower market and just hesitant buyers everywhere held me back from doing open houses. And then getting back into it, I realized that that was definitely a limiting belief. It just depends on, I think door knocking prior also helps a ton with open houses. So
Mm-hmm. So you thought because it was a slower market, you weren't going to have as much success with it?
yeah, I think after having like 2 weekends of 4 slow open houses, I just kind of got a little discouraged for a little bit. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I gotcha. That makes sense. I used to, for myself, I had to get out of the mindset when I was first starting, when it was discouraging, because sometimes you're at an open house and people are not there and they just don't show up, right? And you might have done everything right leading up to it and nobody comes, and that can feel really awful. But I always have to, the way that I checked my mindset is kind of the way that Eleanor started. And she said, it's a numbers game, right? Knowing that if I don't meet anybody at this particular open house or the, consecutive open houses, or I have a couple that are bombs because I'm not gaining any leads from those open houses, there will be other times down the road where there will be right people coming to the open houses that then turn into business. So it's just a matter of playing the numbers so that you are putting yourself in more and more of those opportunity type situations so that you don't get discouraged and think, well, that was a waste of time, because technically it's never a waste of time when we're lead generating, right? And open house is a kind of lead generation. And on those slow times when I was at an open house and I'm sitting and there's nobody there, I use that time to actually make phone calls or texts for follow-ups for people in my database. So I use that as a working time. That allowed me to actually do something while I was at an open house where there was nobody there, because sometimes that happens when you're in those situations. So I come prepared to be able to do things like that. That helped me better my business. Okay. Any other limiting beliefs that you guys want to talk about? that we can dispel a little bit? I mean, there's a couple examples up here on the slide. You don't have a listing to hold open. Anybody know how to fix that problem?
Yeah, I'm subscribed to the emails that everyone gets, and they usually blast out a bunch of open house like opportunities for the weekend or any day that they
Mhm.
ask for.
Yep, yep. And I'm going to go a little bit step further too and say those are the ones that they're reaching out to. You can be proactive and in that same email blast say, hey, anybody have an open that needs to be held open? And you can go even one step further. Become friends with the mega agent TC people who are the ones who are scheduling those open houses for the big teams, because then they know you and they start shooting you those open houses before it even hits the email blast. But you're right, that is one good way of doing it. What about I don't have signs yet? How can we fix that one?
You can ask the listing agent if you can borrow theirs.
Absolutely. You can also ask the market center. Sometimes the market center has some available for borrowing. What about I may not know the answers to questions visitors have?
I actually like that one because I just say, well, I don't have the answer to that right now, but I can get back to you with it. What's your phone number? And I can tell you what it is.
Yeah, that's a great way of getting contact information and showing that you're reliable to get an answer to a question that they don't have, right? It's a really good thing. So it's a good problem to have when you don't have the answer. Yep. And I think it also reduces stress when you say it that way, because then you're not presenting yourself as I know everything, right? It makes you more human, makes you more approachable, and less ego filled. And so it kind of puts the buyers at ease a little bit when you say, that's a really good question. I don't have the answer to that. I'm happy to find out for you, right? Okay. What about open houses don't work? Anybody think that one?
I feel like that's just a limiting belief because nobody just looks online at a house and doesn't go look at the actual house before buying it.
Mm-hmm. True, true, true. They love to walk through before they are able to buy it, right? That's sometimes 2 or 3 times. Yep.
It's almost
And
like we're practicing to go look at homes with an agent. That's what
yeah,
I feel like.
absolutely. Absolutely. And then the last one, I won't be safe. Anybody have any thoughts about that one? Well, we just finished.
Conceal to carry.
I was going to say, we just finished up with Realtor Safety Month, and some of the tips and tricks about that are to make sure that you know your exits, that you have a plan in place, the orange file protocol. Sometimes buddying up with somebody is really helpful. You can buddy up in the Ignite program with another Ignite student. You can ask one of your lenders to join you at the open house, because that means leads for them as well too. So that's one way that you can have safety in numbers. It's a good point, and we'll talk about what that looks like moving forward. Okay, any other questions about limiting beliefs before we move on to the next one? Okay, so here we are on the agenda for the day. We're going to talk about capturing leads with open houses. Then we'll move on to best practices, prepare, prospect, pursue, recap, and ahas, and then the daily success system. Now let's get to it. Open houses. We know that 2 main goals for open houses are to sell houses and generate leads. Who does the open house benefit? And I guess how, right? Who benefits from open houses? The answers are right there. Guys, want to start with the first one? Sellers benefit with open houses because it shows the house to a lot of potential buyers all at one time, and it's high exposure. So the more people you can get through the house, the higher the likelihood you're going to receive an offer, and therefore sell the home. So open houses are a benefit to sellers. Open houses are a benefit to buyers because they get to see houses without obligation. That's without being qualified to research houses. So here's some interesting statistics from NAR. 51% of buyers research through open houses. Isn't that interesting? Half of the people who are buying houses are doing their research by attending open houses, even before they're qualified. All right, neighbors benefit because they get to see how their home compares to the listed house in price and condition. And then lastly, you as an agent gets to benefit because you get to capture the leads of potential buyers, other sellers, future buyers and sellers. You get to connect with the neighborhood when you door knock prior, and you get to place your name on your signs in all the locations throughout the neighborhood, and you get to practice conversations, answer questions, provide value. It's a really good way of practice because, you know, if you have one person that come through and you really blow it and you're like, oh man, I should have blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Somebody else is going to come through the next time or even during the next 5 minutes. And then you get to try it all over again with the new person. So anyway, open houses allow for both prospecting based and marketing enhanced lead generation. I think it's pretty great. It's a pretty great way of doing business. Okay, so looking at the benefits of open houses. What are some of the benefits of open houses?
You got to generate leads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can quickly qualify them as leads for sure, right? The main thing that you're investing when you're preparing for an open house is the time, the return on investment. Anybody else? Well, let's just go through each of those little circles. We'll start with the inexpensive one. While open houses is one of the primary benefits is that they're relatively inexpensive to host when you're first starting out, right? They don't cost much and they only require a significant time investment. And sometimes when you're new, that time investment you have a lot of, and so you don't have to spend a lot of money in order to do open houses. So Christmas is coming up. I had for my first year of real estate, I asked my family members to buy me some real estate things. And so I have an open house flag that my parents bought for me for one Christmas. It was, a great Christmas gift. I was so thrilled. And then I still have it to this day. So whenever I host an open house, I point my open house or stake my open house flag in the front yard. And so it was just a really fun way of being able to do that. But it's an inexpensive way of advertising and coming in contact with buyers. Let's see, or clients, I should say, because it's not always just buyers. Let's look at the other one, prospecting tool. We talked a little bit about that, that they're great for lead generation to meet buyers, sellers, and sometimes other agents, because we know that all three of those things are going to lead to business for you in the future. Let's see. And then return, it's a high ROI standing for return on investment, because the main thing that you invest when you're preparing an open house is time, and you can generate leads, qualify leads, and potentially get a closed deal through an open house. My first 2 closed deals were through open houses, actually, and people I had met at an open house, and it was a really great way of generating business. Okay, and then the last little one, qualifying leads. When qualified leads are important because it gives the participants opportunity to get face-to-face and build meaningful relationships with clients. So what types of leads are you most likely to get from an open house? What do you think?
Buyers.
Buyers. Yeah, I would say that's true. Has that been your experience too, Eleanor?
Yeah, buyers mostly, and then sellers when the neighbors are coming through. You never know if they're planning or thinking about moving, maybe, and it might not be anytime soon, but in the next couple of years or so, maybe.
Well, and sometimes your buyers also are homeowners, right? And so once they are ready to buy, they're also ready to sell. So you can get a twofer from it too. Yep. All right. Any ahas? What so far from open houses? Anything that you've learned that you want to share that was something different? I know it's kind of early on, but they have these scattered throughout the little presentation material. But I will say, when you repeat something back out loud, it reinforces it in your brain. So if there's anything that you guys want to make sure that you remember, saying it out loud right now as an aha will really help cue it and make it sticky in your brain for later. Okay, no responses, that's fine. We will move on and go to the next part. Okay, so now let's talk about best practices and that you can put into place to solidify all of your effort. Okay, there are, let's see, before your open house, we want to set concrete and achievable goals. For example, tell yourself your goal is to add 6 people to your database, for example. It's important to set goals that are achievable and will require a lot of work, because if you setting attainable and difficult goals will help maximize the participants' return on investment. If your goal is to go in there and be like, yeah, I'm going to go in and try to sell a home and blah, 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 you're probably not going to be as successful as if you have specific and attainable goals that are going to stretch you, right? If your goal is by the end of this open house, I'm going to meet 6 people to add to my database, then you're going to be focused on getting those leads converted, and so you can add them into your database. So what other goals could be useful to set for yourself before you host an open house? Anybody have some suggestions about some goals that could be set?
I always try to find a better, not really a script, but a better way to ask them to sign in before leaving. And I don't know, this is a limiting belief too, I think, for me, is I feel like I'm, demanding that they sign in before they leave. And I don't know, that for me, that is hard.
Okay. Yeah, it can be hard to ask for somebody's sign in. If it's not your listing though, it's a really easy thing to say that it's seller required. The sellers require that you sign in, right? You can say it's for safety, you can say it's for security, for their for the seller. Oh yeah, there you go. Sometimes you say it's for security purposes. Thanks, Ashlyn, for saying that. Any other suggestions on how you guys get people to sign in for open houses? Because it can seem awkward. I understand what you're saying, Eleanor. Oh, that's a giant dog. He's so cute. Okay. Back to the original question. Any other examples of goals that you guys might have set when you were in the or before you started hosting an open house?
I like to print flyers, like say I'm gonna do 25 houses before to let them know of the open house. So I'll print 25 flyers. I'm obviously never gonna use them again after that open house, and I don't want to waste them. So that's kind of a goal. 25
Okay.
houses before.
Oh, to like door knock to 25? That's an excellent
Yeah,
goal.
yeah, and just go up there and be like, if it's an opportunity to choose somebody to be your neighbor, that's a good introduction one that Matt's taught me.
Mhm.
Shout out to Matt.
That's an awesome goal. Yep. It's attainable, it's specific, right? Sometimes I also go into an open house and one of my goals that I set is not so much specific, but it is like, I'm going to help every person that walks into this house, right? And then I'm approaching it as a helping mindset, right? How is it that they need me to show up for them? Do they need data? Do they need statistics? Do they need care? Do they need compassion? Like, what is it that I'm going to need to help them with? Because then my mindset is in the right place of benefiting and serving others, and that I think is one thing that can be helpful. Because sometimes, like, you know, you can have a goal of, I'm going to add 6 people to my database, but 6 people don't show up, right? And so you're like, well, what could I do differently next time to make sure that 6 people show up? And then you can try to approach things that way. All right, let's look at the next little goal thing. Okay. Think about your market numbers. Here's our next little bubble. Picking a house is a crucial step in the process. It's important to look for great and visible location, preferably not more than 3 turns from a major road. As you prepare for the open house, make sure that you're getting familiar with the neighborhood. As you're researching it, right? You need to be already using this as a way of pulling out market stats and data, which you can use Area Pro for, which is pretty awesome, which is replacing the TMOs. But the TMO reports I used to print out and have with me on the countertop with the price of the home that I was hosting already highlighted. Now the Area Pros come in, there's a different way that you can utilize those same statistics, but it's a great way of showing your value and making sure that you're knowledgeable. You also should get to know the closest shopping centers, grocery stores, architecture, coffee shops, because when you're choosing the house, you don't always have to pick the most expensive house or the least expensive. You want to consider what the average houses are selling for in your market and adjust your choice based on this. And if the goal of an open house is to generate and qualify leads, what other things should we think about before we pick the home for the open house? Any other things that you consider when you're choosing the home?
I like reaching out to the title company to cover everything you just mentioned for home book.
Yep. It takes them like 10 minutes to pull it for you, right?
Yeah, and have it ready, then try to do it by yourself and it will take you 12 hours.
True. Yeah, utilize your resources, utilize your tools. Great tip, Ray.
Yep.
Hey,
Other
just to
suggestions?
follow up on that, you can contact the title company to mail your flyer, or what was that?
No, like-
You contact your nearest title company and ask them if they have home books.
Mhm.
All the information that Tanya listed, they'll put it all together for you. It takes them like 10 minutes and you can go pick it up.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, but you can also talk to your title company and say, hey, I'm just going to throw this out there because I know First American Title does this for sure, but they have actual open house preparation packets that they'll run for you that you can reach out and they'll you just ask, say, hey, I'm hosting an open house on blah 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 Main Street. Do you have anything available that I can utilize in my open house? And they're like, sure, because that's going to lead to them having business too. So I'm pretty sure other title companies would have that available, but I know that First American has it specific to at least up in this area, has it specific to open house hosting. Okay, great tips. Love this. Next, here we go. Now we're talking about preparing a list of questions you might be asked and practicing your conversation starters. So some questions you might face will test your knowledge of the house and your market. Potential clients might ask why the home is for sale. So that's a really great question to have an answer to going into every open house, right? Sometimes the seller wants people to know that. Sometimes they don't, but it's always a good idea to ask the listing agent. So that way you have something that you can share with them. When the home was last renovated, that is another question that gets asked quite a bit. Especially like age of furnace, age of roof, age of HVAC, like all of those things are really important. And so you need to have answers to those questions because they're probably going to come up when you are talking about the home. Same with square footage, year. I mean, those kind of go without saying. You really should print your MLS full and just study that puppy way in advance so that way you know. I in the early days too, sometimes I was hosting 2 or 3 opens in a weekend. I would print it and then I would have it as a reference, so that I would be able to just like know, okay, this is the data for this house, this is the data for this house, this is the data for that one. And so it really just helps you know.
I have a question because I've been noticing this on RMLS. The home could have been built in like 1937, but the only time frame that they show is for the remodel. They say like 1954 remodel, even though the home was built in like 37. Why is that?
Oh, well, it's possible that it wasn't remodeled until 1957, right?
Yeah.
Remember, there was also like the advent of computers allowed us to do a better job with our record keeping. So MLS and their systems didn't exist prior to way back when.
I just found that so funny because I almost got, I like felt like arguing because I'm like, no, I swear I read 1937 and now it says 1954 remodeled. But then if you look through it, it does say 1937 and then 1954 remodel.
Yeah, and that when you find discrepancies like that, you could say, hey, I'm happy to clarify that with the seller. And I'd be happy to get back to you so that I give you the exact information. But yeah, so just know the date of the systems, know when things were renovated, ask if there's any structural issues to the house, how long the house has been on market. Everybody likes to know days on market. Yeah, any of you encounter other questions that people ask pretty consistently when you're at an open house? Or do we cover
concerns with the neighbors if they see wrong imagery coming up the street?
Maybe.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Sometimes I get asked questions often like, hey, are they leaving the couch or like different bits of personal furniture, especially if there's like a workout section in there. Like, hey, can I have that workout bike? I would love that.
I think the funny one is when you ran into the big ranch styles with the big open picture windows and they're like, so can they look inside and see me? I'm all like, it depends on what window you have there.
True. Okay, let's see. And again, if you don't have any answers to those questions right off the top of your head, Eleanor's script was really great. Just, I don't have the answer to that, but I'm happy to get back to you on it. What's your contact information so that I can do it? Okay, so best practice is during an open house, have the visitors sign in upon the arrival of the event. You can do it really easily digitally if you feel technologically advanced of doing it that way. I personally like to print up my own little open house sheets. In fact, I have some here because it just cues me as a reminder of what I need to do. So it just is like a quick little open house sign-in sheet. It has basic contact information because the 3 things that you're supposed to gather and capture when you are gathering leads is name, phone number, and email. If you can get those 3, that's like the trifecta of perfect, right? Because then you can go in there. My little checklist also has, when are you thinking about moving? Are you pre-qualified for a mortgage? That gives you a lot of information about whether or not they have gone through the process of meeting with a lender. I have the question, are you working with a real estate agent? And then right underneath it, the agent's name and the company. So if they circle yes, and then that line is blank because they don't remember, then I'm like, they probably don't have an agent, and I can be a little bit more, like digging into that. And then just after they're gone, this is my little note section. So that way I can go ahead and fill things out. So I personally am old school. I like it printed. These open house sign-in sheets are beneficial to me. Sometimes they give you wrong information. That's okay. Chalk it up to them just not feeling comfortable. That's probably not the client that I'm supposed to be working with anyway. So anyway, so have a visitor sign in, whether that's digital or not. Some agents even make this a requirement, stating it as a safety measure. You can even ask them to leave something of value while they tour the home, like their car keys or their driver's license, again, as a safety measure. And as you are setting up a sign-in station, it allows you to capture leads that you can then follow up with later. Once you've captured their contact information, what are the 3 things you're focusing on? Contact information is?
Name, email, and address.
Nope.
Name, email, number.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, address is a super duper bonus, but phone more important because those are the ways that you're going to get in touch with them. Okay, once you've captured their contact information, you'll have plenty of opportunities to wow them with your technology and expertise after the event. So if you don't use a sign-in sheet, what are other ways that you can capture the contact information of leads? Anybody have any suggestions on what to do if you don't use a sign-in sheet?
I know there's a way to do a lead form, so you have them sign in on iPad or a laptop or something as they come in, and that way it's legible. And I mean, they could still put in a wrong phone number or whatever, but I think that's a good way to do it because it goes right to your command contacts, I believe.
Yeah, you can certainly do that. Setting it up that way. If you have any questions at all, how to do that process, reach out to your MCTTs at your market center because they are experts in teaching you how to like get that synced and systematized for you. So it feeds directly into your database and then you don't even need to do anything. Yeah.
You can create QR codes nowadays. Just download an app in your Play Store. And most of them allow you to attach your contact information directly to it. And some even allow you to do hyperlinks if you own a website. And then you can let them fill it out that way too.
Great suggestions, Ray. You're right. Any other ways that you can capture contact information of leads? I have a good one. I know I didn't pause long enough to give you guys a chance to think about the question, but here we go. When you are demonstrating your value, right? I like to have data available for the people who come through. Like I said, I would usually have a printed up TMO report or an area per report, and I can say, hey, I get these weekly. I am happy to send this to you if this is something that you find would be of value or of interest. So can I have your contact information to be able to shoot it over to you? And then usually at that point, you are either verifying what they already wrote down when they signed in, or you are getting it fresh right then and there. So having something of value that you can send or share is a really helpful way of doing it too. We feel good about that one. The prepare and the practice. All right, let's move on to the next one. And that next one is pick the times. Okay, choosing the time for an open house is important. When you know your market well and you have connected with it, picking the right time to host the open house should be simple. Open houses have been known to work in any market at all dates and times. So know your market in order to drive the most traffic through your open houses. Picking the time for your open houses goes hand in hand with picking a theme. If you're having your open house on a Sunday afternoon during football season, well, then maybe you should have the football game on and have a couple like themed football type snacks, right, going on the TV. If you are having a house that's right next to a school, right, and people are picking up their kids from school and they're all walking home, like, wouldn't that be a great time to have an open house for for that particular property, right? If there's something that is an event in the area, you can have an open house around the time of that event, which is then going to drive more traffic in to your area. The point is that you need to like look at each setting and situation and address it appropriately to see what is the best possible time and date to pick it. How many of you have, I know a lot of you have personally hosted open houses. Has there been a time or a date that has worked really successfully for you in the past?
At my listing, it's right downtown Salem, and it's really close to all the state office buildings. So I noticed that I held open houses in the afternoon from like 12 to 3, and I got a couple people toward the end. So then I did it from like 2 to 5, and I thought like I got more people because they were walking home from work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought that was great. And then also there's a bunch of restaurants and down there, and I think oh, what was it? There were 2 people, different times, came through and said they were going to go to the library because they were going to sign a petition. So if you know those kind of
Little
things are happening in the neighborhood, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's super beneficial to have those types of things too. Yep. I know for me, I tended to have more people coming on a Sunday afternoon than a Sunday morning because sometimes that conflicted with church times and stuff for people. So I knew I would get more traffic in a Sunday afternoon, generally speaking. And then, you know, you can do a Friday night twilight. That's always a fun one to do too, where you're holding it open at the end of the work week. That's a non-traditional kind of time. Because, you know, if you're only holding it at a certain time, let's say open houses are only held on weekends, what about those people that have to work on the weekends? They never get to attend open houses. So being flexible with when and where you attend is really beneficial. And then having conversations with the sellers or the seller agent, right, who is wanting to have those open houses, say, hey, what times do you think would be beneficial for this particular open? Because the more you hold, you're playing the numbers, the more likely you are to pick up clients. Okay. Any other tips and tricks about picking the time? All right, let's move on to then preparing the stats. All right, so when we have preparing the stats, I pick the time, prepare the stats. Okay, there we go. If you've been practicing connecting with and knowing your market, then gathering the neighborhood stats for your open house is going to be fast. Helpful things to know about the neighborhood before hosting: local information provided by the school district, employment information, recreation nearby, traffic and commute times. Guys, you have access to really cool tools and systems that do that for you for the most part, right? We have Area Pro that's provided to all of our XBN agents now for free. You just have to create an account and then you can have all the data, as specific or as general as you want. Usually every month you get a market action report that has more data. Sometimes you can have an RPR property resource thing, which is linked in, which allows you to get more data. I mean, we have a plethora of information available on gathering data. You just need to learn how to use those tools to help you figure it out. And if you are ever in a situation where you are not sure where to go, reach out to the people who are in your office, because there's probably things that they know about that you don't. And as soon as you learn about it, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't know about XYZ. So anything else that you think people might be coming to the open houses that they would desire to know about the neighborhood?
I think if it's a family looking for a home, they might want to know if there's other families with same age kids.
Mm-hmm. Good point. They may want to know what other homes are available, right? Sometimes I would print up a couple other homes that were like for comparisons, right? To say, hey, this is the house that's similarly priced in this neighborhood, similar beds, baths, and let's look at the difference between the two, right? And so knowing that you're that person who has the expertise in that neighborhood, like all of that research comes into play when you are able to talk to somebody about open houses. And it just lends credibility to you as being the expert, the real estate expert. So, yeah. All right. We are going to move on to the last little bubble, and that is be safe. All right, let's talk about what it is to be safe. Agent safety should be top priority for hosting open houses because there is risk involved in hosting them. Using a buddy system means that you have another person with you. In addition, you should always, that's a big word, let someone else know when and where you will be. I used to have a check-in where my point person who knew that I would be hosting the open house, I would check in every 30 minutes, just a quick little text to say, hey, yeah, I'm still here, still safe. And if I didn't respond in 30 minutes, their job was to text me to say, hey, are you okay? Respond back or I'm going to call. And so having somebody know where you are at all times. And you can also share your location with a friend or a partner, or even somebody at the market center so that we are aware of where you are. Park on the street, which prevents your car from being blocked in case you need to leave in an emergency exit situation. It's also important to check all the entrance and exits before the open house. Have a fully charged cell phone. The agents may be using their cell phones to connect with clients on the app, so a full charge is necessary for that and for safety. When you show a potential client through the house, allow them to walk ahead of you. You should always be behind you. Explain that you should be familiar with local health guidelines. And then, like we discussed and went over our open house conversation starters, it may be useful to bring a partner with you into an open house. Any other safe practices for open houses that you guys can think of that I just didn't mention right here?
Always have your keys with you, your car keys with you.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a lanyard. It's my open house lanyard. I only wear it for my open house, and it has a little like, what's that? A little clippy hook, and I put the house's keys on there too, right? So that I have both, and it's around my neck, and it also has like little scissors and stuff. So it's just a great tool that I have just in case, and it has a little badge thing so that it also holds my business card. So when I'm ready, I'm like, do you need a business card? Here you go. Here's how you can reach me. So it's just a real quick, easy way of having everything in one location. That's a great tip. Anybody else? Other safety things that we didn't really cover?
I think have your PB phone number in your saved in your contacts so that if there is an emergency, you know who to call.
Absolutely. And we also have, just so that you know, the PB department has an after hours on call thing, and we rotate through who's on call for weekends or after hours. And so knowing that number and having it in your phone, that could be your like reach out, because then you know you're always going to get an answer right away. Yeah.
And they'll always know if you ask for the orange folder that's on your desk with the address.
Yep, that you just
Know what to
then
do.
that's our cue to know that you need police in that area to aid you and assist you for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, great tips. Anybody else? Okay, let's talk about some ahas. Any ahas that you gained from that last section about hosting open houses?
On Sundays, if there's games, have them playing in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true, April. Thanks for sharing that.
On the first section of the, it was about setting goals, and I don't remember what you said. Can you say what the first thing was on your list?
When you set goals, prepare a list of, I'm going back to that. I'm sorry, go back to the set goals. Set concrete and achievable goals. For example, tell yourself your goal is to add 6 people to your database. Yeah. And then set goals that are achievable and will require a lot of work, because if you are setting attainable and difficult goals, it's going to maximize the effort that you're putting into it. Is that what you were thinking of, Eleanor?
Yeah, because when I do open houses, I don't really set goals in the
Mhm.
beginning. So I thought that was, for me, that was a big aha and something that I'm going to implement
Mhm.
before my open houses. Now I'm going to sit down and think, okay, what am I here to do? What am I actually here to accomplish today?
Mhm.
I think that was a big aha for me.
That's a good one. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Okay, well then let's move on to our next section, which is prepare, prospect, and pursue. Whoop-a-doo-doo. Okay, we have another quote. Anybody want to read this one?
The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus.
Ooh, I love that one. And now let's ask, how does that apply to open house hosting? Big and really big is how you manage your time and focus.
Well, I
it's
don't
kind
think
of,
it's,
oh,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. I think it's back to from what you said, like if no one comes into your open house, you're using that time to still like contact your leads or just contact anyone you can and make use of that time if no one's coming to your open house.
Mhm.
And also, you don't have to spend a ton of money and have the food and the sandwiches and all the stuff. Have the information that the clients need.
Mhm.
That's the most important.
Mhm. That is definitely the most important. For sure. I think sometimes when we're thinking about the difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. Sometimes you can do open houses, but if you're not doing the research to help you be prepared to answer the questions, that's the difference between being big or really big, right? If you're spending the time to focus and be prepared, and to do the things that we're going to talk about next, which is prepare, prospect, and pursue. Let's talk about this model to help you approach your open houses. All right, so when we prepare, the goals for your open house is to get appointments with active buyers and sellers. To be at your best and achieve what you've set out for yourself takes preparation. Schedule preparation time during the week before your open house so that you can ensure that you capture leads and set appointments. You're going to spend more time preparing for your open house than you will be hosting the actual open house, right? So the things that you need to prepare ahead of time is your mindset, right? That's the setting high and achievable goals. That's removing limiting beliefs. That's focusing on your success, and that's believing in yourself. That's going to prepare your mindset for a successful open house. Another thing that you can do to help you prepare is to practice conversations, for greeting people, answering questions, capturing contact information. I hope you all have somebody in your circle or your world that you know that you can run things together with. The Ignite program is pretty great because you're all starting, generally speaking, and you can form bonds and connections with the people in this program, and you guys can bounce things off each other and use it as practice time. Like, it's a really good way of connecting. And even if it's not somebody you find in Ignite, if you find a mentor, if you find somebody that's willing to sit down and help you practice those things, even practicing on your kids, practicing in the mirror, practicing to a partner, those can be helpful ways of refining your scripts. Refining your dialogues. So making sure that you're doing that. Okay, so how many leads do you intend to capture? That's a good question to think about when you're preparing. How many appointments would you like to get from your next open house? Another great question to ask, because when you have those specific goals in mind, you're much more likely to hit them, because then just letting things happen willy-nilly, right? So we're going to build your open house plan. All right, let's talk about all the hard work. So the week before is your open house preparation time. On Monday, after you've done the hard work, like picking your house, and know the next few steps are going to involve maximizing potential client traffic at your open house. A lot of this is going to involve posting online in the days leading up to the open house, because 93% of buyers use a website to find a house. So go where the people are. Post online about your open house. All right, when you're prospecting, make sure that you're not violating the TCPA do not call list. But they encourage you to call about 100 people in the days leading up to the open house, saying that you're going to be having one. You can get lots of good information from your neighbors. Door knock and ask them, what do you love about this neighborhood? Number one, that's demonstrating to the neighbors that you're a good agent that's proactively going out. And so they may think of you if you or if they're needing to sell. Number two, it also gives you information to be more prepared for people who come into the open house. So you can talk to them about all the things about the neighborhood that you found out about. And then here are some checklist questions. So they say on Monday, select the house. Tuesday, post online, walk the neighborhood, invite neighbors to showing. Some people I've heard like to do a 30-minute preview, right? Just for neighbors. Say, hey, I know the open house is scheduled from 1 to 3. However, I'll be there at 12:30 just for a neighborhood preview. So if you want to come on down at 12:30, come on in. I've heard that to be pretty successful. You can post online again on Wednesday, install yard signs if allowable in your area. Post online again on Thursday, invite your database, post online again, prepare market statistics, print flyers, door knocks, all those things happen on Friday. So this is a lot of work that you're doing to help you even before you start the open house. Any questions about that? Or additions? Any things that you see that you may want to add? Nope. Okay, let's move to the next one then. Okay, what clients like to know when they come to your open house? All right, knowing the numbers of your market is going to help address things clients inquire about that are not on the list. Knowing things like days on market, knowing things like market average, knowing things like appreciation rates in the neighborhood. Those are all things that clients are going to want to inquire on that are not necessarily on the list. So people come to an open house and tend to know the community and the neighborhood information. Remember, because they're buying a lifestyle. So be a community service real estate expert by knowing your market. Become familiar with the neighborhood. Learn the name of the park down the street and the popular restaurants in the area, or that there's a Target only one half mile away, right? Study the neighborhood's history. Explore the KW apps to maximize your lead generation and follow-up. What other things about the neighborhood might be useful to know before you host your open house?
What schools are around? Maybe they don't like a certain school.
Mm-hmm. Schools can be helpful. Walking paths. I've been asked that one quite a bit. Is there a path to walk? Is there a dog park nearby? Yeah, helpful things, recreation things that are important for sellers to know. How many people are moving into an area? Like that's other bit of data to have, because people often choose to move into growing areas, not those that are not so much.
I feel like we learned to use Ford in the sense of like gaining trust, but we can also use it in the sense of like gaining info.
Yes. You've nailed it. For those of can you explain what FORD is for those people who may not know it?
Family, occupations, recreations, and dreams.
Yep. Asking questions using those little touch points is like a really good way of establishing rapport with somebody because people love to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks for sharing. All right, let's move on to the next section. What clients like to know. Is that the same thing? Oh, wait, no, different. Okay. Knowing financial and mortgage information is also something visitors might ask about. I don't know if you know or not, but I am going to share a little story. We have a program called Keller Home Loans available to all Keller Williams agents. If you don't know anything about that program, I highly recommend that you connect with a Keller Home Loan specialist so that way you have somebody that you can recommend. They'll even give you flyers that you can print up that you can keep at your open houses. But basically, Keller Home Loans is a in-house lender that that Keller has contracted through. I think it's Mutual of Omaha. That's the bank that they have their people out of. But they don't charge loan origination fees to their clients, which is usually 1% price of a home. And they have this $1,000 cash back credit at closing program. And so it saves clients thousands of dollars. So I had a first-time home buyer and I told her about Keller Home Loans and I was like, hey, let's do this. And she was like, nope, I already have my lender. I'm like, that's fine. Right. And so her lender eventually came back because she was purchasing a condo. We found out that there was something with the special assessments. The lender's like, I can't sell you this condo. And so she's like, well, maybe I can look into your lender. And so we did. And when she saw the side-by-side comparison of what her closing costs were with the other lender and what her closing costs were with Keller Home Loans, it was $4,000 that she saved, $4,000 less. So I printed it up and I was like, of course I blacked out any important confidential information, but I said, like, this is legitimately how much money this has saved my clients. So it's worth considering. And then you close, right? And then you're like, and I would be happy to get you in touch with them because it's an in-house lender. It's only available to people who work with Keller agents. And I'm a Keller agent. So this is why we can offer this program to you. Would you like me to shoot you over the information? All I need is your phone number or your email. So it's a really good way of establishing rapport. So anybody, how many of you knew about Keller Home Loans? Anybody?
Use them a few times. They're really very competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they even will match the rates if they can on like if you have a printed rate from another company and you take it to Keller Home Loans, they're like, yeah, we can match that rate, no problem. And so I've had that happen as well. So they are competitive and for some people it's like a really easy way of cutting down on those expenses for your closing costs, which is what we want for our clients, right? Okay, so that's just a little plug for those of you who may not have known about that program. It's available. I would recommend looking into it, Keller Home Loans. And if you need a name, I can put you in touch with my person because she's great. But by all means, you don't have to use her, but she's wonderful. She's closed about 3 with me this year and she's just really wonderful. And she even shot me. She was like, I love it when this works, but she's like, I know somebody who's moving from Chicago. Can you help them? So she gave me a lead and I was like, of course. So it was wonderful. Okay. Let's see. If you do use Keller Home Loans, you have to provide a disclosure saying that we have a partnership involved with them. So just contact the person from Keller Home Loans to make sure that you do that. And then brush up on the home buying process. Open houses are a great place for first-time home buyers who are going to have a lot of questions. Get your visitors to use the KW app for searching for homes, because then that way you get notified of when they are harding a home. So that way you can follow up with them about those particular homes. And then, and you can become more familiar with what they like. you don't have to know everything there is to know about mortgage information, just enough to get them down the road, like the general interest rates, things like that. Everybody always has that as a question. Where are rates right now? What's the market doing, right? All of those things are questions that you should have a really good answer to. And then this is also a great area where having a lender who's willing to partner with you, you can have them in-house as well. So especially beneficial if you're hosting a really big open house, like where there's lots of space. I don't know, those big giant houses sometimes require 2 people to be at. Okay, next. Prospect, that's our next little circle. So we did the preparing. Prospecting, this is where you're going to build trust and rapport. All right, so if you've read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, then you've heard of leads, listings, and leverage. Open houses are all about leads, leads, and leads, because an open house is a great prospecting tool that requires mostly time as an investment. So let's look at some of the ways that you can use open houses to prospect for leads. An important part of the open house is to build trust and rapport with everybody that visits the house. Ways you can do this are greet everyone that comes in the doors, even the kids, even the dog that you see in the car, right? Make sure that you're saying hello to everybody. Ask visitors, what brought you in today? Or a better question than what brought you in today, I heard, was like, where are you driving from? Because everybody has an answer to that question. You can ask, what are you looking for? A home in this neighborhood, price or range? Or have you been to any other open houses? Would you like to know more about the market or the neighborhood? What would you like about this house that I may share with others? That feedback question is a really important one, because then it also gives you information that you can share with the seller when you're done. Be positive, be upbeat. Remember, clients are thinking about their futures and lifestyles, so be a positive force in their imagination. And it's important to meet the client where they are, right? If visitors don't seem interested in engaging with you, match their energy and let them be. Give them some space and don't come on too strong. Okay, so building rapport and trust is great. Next, let's provide value. Wait, this is not the right one. Oh, okay, sorry. I had my pages mixed up. Okay, during an open house, it's important to demonstrate and provide value. You can do this in several ways. The most obvious is to know your numbers. When you get to the day of the open house, make sure that you know the market stats and the stats of the people in your market center. Know how many days the house has been on the market, the price, the number of houses sold in the neighborhood, and for what price. Understand personality types. I think this is a really interesting one. And conversation styles of different people. Are you all familiar with the DISC assessment, DISC? How many of you have done one yourself, a DISC assessment? Okay. If you have, awesome. If you haven't, that's your homework tonight, because it's going to give you insight into how you communicate. And it's going to give you insight into some of the other personality profiles so that you can better communicate with them too. For example, if you have somebody who is a high C, they're going to love, love, love data. But if you have somebody who's all about the emotions and the feelings, like, oh, this house feels like a hug, then you know they're probably going to be high I's or high S's. And so they're not going to care so much about data. So you're going to have to work how you talk to somebody based on what their needs are. And you can get really good at this because you're going to be coming in contact with all kinds of people. So you'll get really good at reading them. So if you have not done DISC assessment, just take the quiz tonight. That's it. Easy peasy.
Is it DISC, like DISC? Okay.
DISC. Yep. And it's 4 personality types, DISC. Another good
the assessment.
Sorry. It's a Tony Robbins thing. It used to be part of the onboarding when I started. I had to take the DISC assessment when I was first signing up for Keller. We had a whole class about it too. Like, here's how to talk to somebody who's a high D. Here's how to talk to somebody who's a high I. So did you have that same thing, Eleanor, yeah? Yeah. It's a valuable tool, and I was really grateful for it. I'm also going to plug a book because it goes one step further than disc assessment, but they mentioned disc assessment in there. The book is called Captivate. Oh, so good, guys. If you have any nervousness about interacting with other people, it's like the how-to manual on being comfortable in any social situation. So highly recommend Captivate. It's a good one. Okay, so understand the personality types. Mirror and match. You'll probably hear that a lot. We need to mirror and match other people when we are talking, so that we're matching their energy. If they're high energy, then you want to ramp up your energy. If they're low energy, you want to bring yours down a little bit, because mirror and matching somebody makes them feel more comfortable. And so we need to do that. Like, here's an example. So Jordan came into the Zoom at the very beginning of the call, and as soon as she got on, what did she start doing right away? She was like, "Hey, blah blah blah." Like, she's a high energy person, which was awesome. But when I started the call, I'm like, not as high energy, but that's okay. Just differences, right? Differences in personalities. Okay. Some things, what are some things that you're able to offer visitors when they come to your open house? So let's talk about things of value that you can provide. What are some things that you can provide?
The property flyer,
Yep, it's a good one.
snacks.
Snacks is a good one.
I thought the market stats from
Yes.
Area Pro was a good one too.
Oh, absolutely. Area Pro stats are amazing. Maybe a list of other a list of other houses that are for sale in the neighborhood. Ooh, some people do raffles to capture data, right? You're much more likely to get an accurate phone number if you're offering like a $5 Starbucks gift card, or the bottle of wine, or this basket, like something, right? You can have a little raffle available. And the goal being to capture their information for you. That's the goal. For them is fun and enjoyable because they get things, but for you, capturing the leads. Sometimes you can even partner with somebody else. Like if you're partnering with a lender on an open house, they might be willing to fit the cost for something like that. So it doesn't have to be expensive.
I've also done a raffle where you have to fill out the feedback form
Ooh.
so that the seller knows what they're saying and thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Put into the raffle for a Amazon gift card or whatever, Home Depot gift card.
Oh, that's super smart. So it's double duty, right? Oh, you know what? Okay, so in one of our team meetings this month, we had Jordan was sharing about how some good questions are to send people on a scavenger hunt of the house, right? Like just small little touching points. And so you can have that as part of like a scavenger hunt. And then that could be part of the raffle too. Just brainstorming here just a little bit, right? Like check out the master. What's so unique about what's in the master or the primary bedroom, right? Like, and then they're in the primary bedroom, they're looking like, what is it? What is it? What is it? Right. So that they know. So you send them on little adventures throughout the house so that they get to explore a selling point of the house. Could be fun. Okay. Fun ideas, guys. That was good. Okay, let's talk about capturing information and qualifying leads. So one of the primary uses of the KW apps is to be able to organize and consolidate lead information before, during, and after open houses. Make sure you capture information and qualify leads. Several ways you can do this is to have a sign-in sheet. Use a customized landing page in Command and have it available. Use the KW app. We all have it. And it's really convenient. Let's see if I can show you guys right now. I'm going to stop sharing that screen and start sharing my phone. All right, you all have the command app, I hope. Yes. Oops. Oh, it logged me out. I don't want to take the time to get logged in. Sorry. Let's see. Okay. You all have the KW command app. Okay. Looks like this. And if you click on your picture, the tippy tip top, you see that it has profile, my business card, and my sharing my app link right there. So if you click the sharing app link right there, doing this backwards is really hard. Okay, there we go. It will allow you to, just like in your phone, it will allow you to share so you can text right away. And that's another way of getting their contact information, right? Like I have this great app that allows people to look at homes, and then your data is not sold to anybody. Like nobody sees this but me. So you don't have to worry about your data being sold, as opposed to some other apps where they may sell you to other agents and many agents. And so this is a really easy way of sharing that. So if you have the KW app, you can easily click on that. And the other thing while I'm here, I just want to show you because I love this. If you click on your name again, boom, right there, my business card, you just click that and it creates a QR code that is your business card. And all they have to do is scan the QR code, and all of a sudden you appear in their contacts. Pretty cool. So a really easy digital way of being digital, even if you're not technologically advanced like me. So love that. Okay, so we've got these KW apps. We have sign-in sheets. We have questions that we can use, like probing questions, like the forward questions. So ask a lot of those. Remember that you're here to get leads and appointments. So ask for their business and referrals, and don't be attached to the outcome. Like, don't make it weird. Make it natural, right? Like you're there to provide a service, you're there to do a job. And if you're approaching it as I'm here to help you, like why wouldn't you want to do an excellent job in helping somebody? And why wouldn't they want to work with you? Because you're there to help them in this important time, right? So you can provide that value to them better than most agents out there because you're better equipped, because you're a Keller agent and we're amazing. Just saying. Okay, let's see. Next. Pursue. Oh, wait, I'm going to also say this because this is not part of the planning or training, but I would highly recommend it. If you are hosting for somebody else, here's what I do. A couple little tips and tricks. So I always, in my preparation time before I show up to the open house, is I have given myself probably about 30 minutes to be in the house before the open house actually begins. When I'm in the open house, I'm walking it. I'm becoming familiarized with things. I'm taking my little essential oils and doing a little drop in each sink to make it smell fresh. So it's, and I use essential oils that are like lemon or citrus or something fresh and natural, not artificial. And then another thing that I do is I plan out my response email to send to the seller agent right away. So I will type out already like parties through the house. Here's what they loved. Here's the feedback. Here's who to follow up with, right? Boom, 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 boom. Then as the open house is occurring and I'm meeting different people and I'm asking for their feedback, I'm typing that in there right after they leave so that I have a fully executed long document that I can easily email the moment the open house is done. So my sellers agents that I'm hosting for get instant feedback on who was in their house and what they can like what feedback they got. So that's something else that I do to plan and prepare leading into an open house. So just small little tip, small little trick, make yourself going above and beyond in that. So
can you say how you did that again? Did you just open up a document on your phone? Or?
On my phone, I just opened up an email, right? I already have it pre-filled out to who I'm sending it to, listing agent. And then I say feedback for open house on blah, blah, blah street. And then I'll have a little template, what they love, or no, parties through, what they love, feedback, and then who to follow up with.
That's
And I have it like that. And then as a party leaves, so that I don't have to go back at the very end, what did they say again? Right? Like I can be like, oh yeah, they really love that this is, and then I just type it in there really quickly on my phone, and then I can keep it. I don't have to close out my mail, right? I just don't have to have that open. And then the next time that somebody comes through, I update the parties through it, and then same thing, so that I can give instant access right after for people
You're
I'm
just
hosting.
putting the number of people that came through in that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really great tip for if you're doing open house for somebody else, because I've done that before and the agent's like, well, how did it go? Like 2 minutes after it's over. I'm like, well, I got to type it up and like, no.
But if you're
I'll
doing
figure
it
that
as you go, it makes, okay, so preface, there could be times where it would be really hard to do that, because let's say you have an open house with like 30 people through. Yes, those times I wasn't able to do it because I was constant. But on those times where there's a little bit of time in between people, that's great. And I also use that little bit of time in between people to input the data that I receive into my command, because you can do it on your app right then and there. Tag them, and then they're good to go. And I will also immediately text them, thanks so much for coming to the open house. I just want to introduce myself again. Here's my name. Here's my, sometimes I'll even have a video of it. Like, here's who I am. I just want you to know that I'm glad that you were here, and I'm here to help you in whatever way that you need, right? So that way I am immediately following up and letting them know that I'm a person who does what they say. So those are some of the things that I end up doing when I host my opens, just to make sure that that they're there. Okay, let's talk about the pursuing part. So leading right into this. So following up is super important. Okay, so when we remember that the goal of our open house is to generate leads and to sell houses, make sure that you're following up on the leads that you just captured. It's not easy to do all the work to get the lead, right? But if you don't do anything with that lead after you receive it, then that's sad because you're not using that work in a way that's going to benefit you or benefit others. So you want to make sure that you are I just got distracted. Following up. And here's the other thing to think about. There's a research that's been done, and the number of times that you need to follow up with a new MET is 7 to 11 times before you can get conversion. That's a lot of times, guys. 7 to 11 follow-ups. So if you're just following up 1 or 2 times and you're not getting any responses, don't give up. Keep trying, because it may take 7 times before they respond to you, before they say, oh yeah. And then they know that you're a hard worker. They know that you're going to be doing your job. And if they respond and they say, hey, stop bugging me, then you know that you don't have to work with those people anymore. That's okay. There'll be other people to work with. But 7 to 11 times. Now, if that seems daunting and if that seems overwhelming, guess what? There's another tool available to you through our systems in our command. And I'm going to share it with you right now. So sharing my screen to command. Boop. I know this is not part of the script, but I want to show you anyway. If you come over here to command to this place called Smart Plans, this little applet thing right here, and you look in the library and you search this thing called Open House, and you will find that there are 553 Open House Smart Plans available in Keller Williams. Now, you can preview each one of them. You can look at the rating that they've received. You can look at the number of downloads that people have had. This one right here, 137,811 downloads. This is probably a good one. This gives you, in the span of 21 days, 7 times that you follow up. Remember, that was the magic number that we were talking about, right? 7 times is our magic follow-up. So I would add this smart plan if I was you, and then utilize it when you put somebody into command. You can assign them this smart plan, and that automatically is going to set them up on this smart plan follow-up, which is partially systematized, and then it does the checking for you. So in this instance, it sends a text anytime. Hey, what'd you think of the open house? They even have it drafted for you. So all you have to do is type in what you want. And then it has an email. Then it has a phone call. Then on day 7, you send another text. On day 11, you make a call. On day 14, you send another text. On day 18, you create a task. And then on day 19 or day 22 or 21, you add to the smart plan. So it shows you what each of the steps are, and you can definitely use it. So highly, highly, highly recommend using those things because it is awesome. Systematize things. That way you guys don't have to do it. Because I don't know about you, but my brain is very overwhelmed with all the things. And if you meet 5 people in an open house and you want to follow up with those 5 people, how are you going to remember to follow up 7 to 11 times? Get them on a smart plan. It does the thinking for you. And then you just have to do the tasks when it tells you to do the tasks. So love our systems.
I've not used the smart plans before. So if you set them up on that, it automatically does it that itself.
Well, you have to
does that, or
you have to tag the contact with, you have to assign that contact to that smart plan. And once you do that, then they automatically will do that. If you have any questions, Stephanie, which market center is yours?
Southern Oregon.
Southern Oregon. So Madeline would be a person that you could go to, and she would be able to help you out.
Okay.
Yeah. Give her a quick call, and then she'll be able to tell you how to systematize it, because it's pretty helpful. Or you can attend the class Command Your Business, which is happening next Thursday. Yeah, that's a really good one. But yes, systematizing using those smart plans, super great way of making sure that it does the thinking for you, and then you don't have to. And I love that. I love it. It makes everything better. Okay, now back to where we were. We were in the pursuing part. Yes. Okay. So it's good to practice after the open house to immediately follow up and update your database with their contact information, motivation notes, tag them in smart plans, add them to neighborhoods, and then reconnect with them, reach out to them and thank them for coming, and move forward with that. So pursue a whole lot of times, because that is how you're going to get the conversion of turning those METs into business contacts and business for yourself. All right, so let's see. After you've hosted the open house, it's time to go back to the original goals, and you ask yourself, how many appointments did you intend to get? How many did you end up with? How would you consider the open house a success? What changes or improvements would you make? I always ask myself that question when I'm done with it. What could I have done that would have made this more effective, right? What conversations went really well? Why did they go really well? What conversations kind of flopped? Why did they flop? What could I have done differently? So going back and reflecting a little bit is super beneficial in getting you to the place where you can refine and get better. And mindset trick, if you blow it with one person, oh well, doesn't matter, because guess what? You're going to have more people coming through. If you approach it as you're practicing each and every time, you're going to get really good at it, and you'll become really natural at it, and then you're going to be more genuine. So it's really easy to get to the point with practice of feeling more confident doing open houses. So it might seem uncomfortable in the beginning, like Alex shared, right? When he first had this limiting belief that he didn't think he knew what he needed to, but then he shadowed and now he feels much more comfortable, right? Same thing. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So Now we are on to the aha portion. Any ahas from this last section?
Well, I loved how you said that you already had the email ready to go. And you could update it as you went, because that takes such a long time. You're trying to close up the open house and then they're asking you the questions and who came through and all of that. So yeah, that was pretty helpful.
Yeah, that was a game changer for me. And it made me much more reliable with listing agents, because then they were like, ooh, I'm going to hear back from her right away. I'm going to keep asking her to hold my opens for me. Any other ahas?
When is that Command Your Business class?
Next Thursday.
Is it every Thursday or?
Every second and every first and third Thursday of the month.
Okay.
But we cover the same thing, so it's not like, so like if you miss it this one time, then it'll be the next one. But yeah. And if you ever need to know the time on that, I always have it on my Compliance Corner emails. You just scroll to the bottom. That's where it is. Yeah, the Command Your Business class goes through the whole, like, it's like an overview of the applets and what they can do for you. And then it goes really in depth into the opportunities tab and how to do it the right way. Like how to submit documents and how to get paid and how to do the commissions tab and all that stuff. So it's a really helpful, like, here's how to utilize the systems intro class. Yeah. And Madeline teaches it mostly, but sometimes I jump in and help her out too. So any other ahas before we move on to the next section? We're super close. We're almost done, guys. Almost done. Hang in there. Okay, let's move on. To recap, after today's session, do you feel ready to set up and host your own open house after a week or two? You guys all feel ready? Yes, to jump right in and do it? Because we talked about benefits of an open house. We talked about open house best practices, and we talked about preparing, prospecting, and pursuing. Because the best way to get better is to do it. Woohoo!
So when we're doing our open houses this coming Sunday for the extravaganza,
yes,
we don't have to have them sign anything to come in, but would it be beneficial to change our sign-in sheets and our feedback sheet, instead of saying, are you working with an agent, to physically say, have you signed an agreement?
Yeah, I mean, you could say, have you signed a buyer representation agreement with an agent yet? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a conversion. It's a buy-sell conversion too. So I was at an open house met, and the people that they filled out my open house form and they checked, yes, I have an agent. And then I was like, well, that's fine, and I just provided value like I do to every person, because that was what I was doing. I just went in and I'm like, my mindset is, no matter who comes into this house, I'm going to help them in any way that they need to be helped. And they really like the value that I provided. And they're like, well, can we blah, blah, blah with you? And I was like, but you're already working with an agent. And they said, well, we haven't signed any paperwork with that agent. And I was like, oh, well, then in that case, I can certainly help you. And so let's talk about that. But I had to clarify, right? Because I don't want to take somebody else's business, but they had obviously not been like signing a buyer representation agreement. Therefore, they were fair game, and I was able to demonstrate my value to them, and they're my clients today. I just wrote an offer for them last week. So, okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. And then there's a whole lot of stuff about, this is like the accountability participation stuff, the role-playing stuff. But do you guys do that every time? I'm not sure if you do or not, right? No, usually you just get through the teaching material. That's the disadvantage of the online Ignites. When you're in person, when I was starting, it was in person and they actually made us do the things. right in the classroom. And while I was like, oh man, this is hard, it really helped me. So I encourage you to implement the things that we talked about today so that you feel more confident moving forward. So I would recommend that you take the time to get to know the systems and to really like refine things. Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions for me?
So I remember in Ignite, the first time I took it, there was a book and there was like a script book, a conversation book. Is there still something like that just to help
Let me see.
to break the ice? Something like something new and fresh that there's, I just know, I feel like I'm saying the same things all the time and I don't know
And
if
you
I
need
get the
something
best
different.
responses.
Yeah. This was just calling your, they just have something about calling your sphere. 10 conversations with your sphere. Today you're going to make calls to your sphere and people in your database. It says turn to the pages in your participant guide to go over it, but I don't see any script on it. Sorry, I don't see anything like that. But Eleanor, knowing that you have that need, I'll see what I can dig up to provide for you, because I do have quite a plethora of stuff that I've gathered over time, which is, script related, and maybe it's something that you haven't seen yet. So,
Okay.
have you ever attended anything from Glover U?
I feel like I get so much stuff from him that I don't know. I just cannot even, I can't consume it. It just comes in.
Agreed. But yeah, some stuff like that I have received, and I really like the scripts that come that way. So anyway, I don't see anything in this particular system right here, but let me look. No, it's all the same thing.
Okay. I know I collect scripts and like questions.
I know I have a whole folder.
I have a whole folder on my computer.
Just committed to that. So that way when I'm ready to like, okay, how can I start practicing for this new thing? It's all about the researching, right? So I have a whole folder that I go through that I can start pulling up. But yeah, I'll look through and see if there's anything home related to open houses that I can shoot your way.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. It may not be till tomorrow, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions or ways that I can help? I would encourage you guys to use it as a source of lead generation for your business, because it really, really does work. It turns into business in not just, and it fills your pipeline, not just in the short term, but it also fills it in the long term. So, the more you're feeding, like my goal when I first started was 52 open houses. Like I said, well, that's one a week, right? I can do one open house a week when I'm first starting. And so, and there were some months where I would do 3 in one weekend and then none on one weekend, just because of what was going on in my life with my family. And so it allows you to be intentional and prepared. So just having a long-term goal of like, here's how many open houses I'm going to host. And through that process, I think that my first 2 years, 40% of my business came from open houses. And that was pretty great. So 40% for just one leg of my business was phenomenal, I felt. Yeah. So I encourage you guys all to participate in our open house extravaganza this weekend, because it's going to be fun. I just love that word. Yeah. Okay. Feel free to reach out and let me know if there's any other ways that I can support you guys, because I care about you guys being successful, but I have nothing else to present. So that's the end.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.